At the height of its power, Rome was a war machine, disciplined, relentless, and seemingly unstoppable. City after city fell to its legions. Its dominance stretched across the Mediterranean, silencing languages, crushing traditions, and imposing Roman law wherever its banners flew. But across the sea, on the northern coast of Africa, stood Carthage. Founded by Phoenician settlers, Carthage thrived as a wealthy trading empire, controlling vital maritime routes and amassing unimaginable riches without relying on military force, at least at first. That balance would not last. As Rome expanded by land and Carthage ruled the seas, their rivalry escalated into open conflict, the Punic Wars. These were not mere border skirmishes. They were full-scale battles for control of the ancient world. And though Carthage lost the First Punic War, it wasn't peace they accepted. It was humiliation. In the wake of that defeat, a hardened Carthaginian general, Hannibal Barca, looked north to the Iberian Peninsula as a place to rebuild Carthage's power, far from Roman eyes. He subdued tribes, mined silver, and laid the foundations of a new empire. But more importantly, he brought with him a boy, his son, Hannibal. From a young age, Hannibal was trained not only in warfare, but in vengeance. In a solemn ritual, he swore before the gods that he would never be a friend to Rome. That promise, made at just 9 years old, would shape the course of history. Raised in military camps rather than classrooms, Hannibal learned to ride before he could write, studied maps instead of poetry, and heard tales of betrayal and bloodshed instead of bedtime stories. When Hamilcar died in battle, some say by treachery, his son inherited more than a legacy. He inherited a mission. By his 20s, Hannibal had become commander of the Carthaginian forces in Hispania, and he wasted no time. When Rome interfered in Carthaginian territory by backing the city of Saguntum, Hannibal seized the moment. Without waiting for orders from Carthage, he declared war. But he didn't sail for Italy. He chose a route no one expected. With more than 50,000 soldiers, thousands of horses, and nearly 40 African war elephants, Hannibal embarked on one of the most daring military campaigns in history. He crossed the Pyrenees, then southern Gaul, and finally the Alps in winter. Treacherous mountain passes claimed lives. Men froze. Elephants died. Yet Hannibal emerged from the snow-covered peaks onto the plains of northern Italy, ready to strike at the heart of Rome. What followed was a string of military victories that stunned the world. At the river Trebia, at Lake Trasimene, and finally at Cannae, Hannibal's tactics crushed Rome's legions. At Cannae, he encircled and annihilated an army twice the size of his own, killing over 50,000 Roman soldiers in a single day. It remains one of the most devastating defeats in Roman military history. But despite these victories, Hannibal made a controversial choice. He did not march on the city of Rome. Historians have debated his reasons for centuries. Some argue he lacked the manpower. Others say he hoped Rome's allies would defect, breaking the Republic from within. But Rome held firm. And while Hannibal remained in Italy, unable to break the Roman spirit, a new leader emerged from the chaos. Publius Cornelius Scipio. Young, ambitious, and battle-tested, Scipio had studied Hannibal's every move. Instead of confronting him in Italy, he struck at his base, invading Hispania, cutting off Carthaginian reinforcements, and finally taking the war to North Africa. In 202 BC, Scipio and Hannibal faced each other at the Battle of Zama. This time, the Romans were prepared. The elephants were neutralized. Rome's cavalry, bolstered by defected Numidian allies, crushed Carthage's flanks. Hannibal, the man who had humiliated Rome, was finally defeated. Carthage surrendered. Its navy was dismantled. Its ambitions were buried beneath the weight of Roman treaties. But Hannibal's story did not end there. Though defeated, he refused to be paraded as a trophy. He went into exile, traveling through Asia Minor and offering his military genius to foreign courts. Even in defeat, Rome feared him. His name became a ghost in the Senate halls. Hannibal ad portas. Hannibal is at the gates. Eventually cornered, Hannibal chose death over capture, allegedly taking poison rather than fall into Roman hands. His final act was true to his character, defiant to the end. And yet, even in death, Hannibal won a different kind of immortality. His strategies are still studied in military academies. His boldness inspired generals from Napoleon to Eisenhower. Rome may have defeated Carthage, but it could never erase the legend of Hannibal Barca, a boy who swore revenge and nearly brought an empire to its knees. His name, though fallen, transcended defeat. Generals across centuries, Napoleon, Wellington, modern strategists, studied his campaigns. In Rome, even in memory, his name inspired awe and fear. Hannibal lost the war, but forged a legend. He began as a boy swearing revenge and ended forever entwined with Rome's greatest fear. A spark extinguished, yet its light continues to cut through centuries of history. Thank you for watching. If historical narratives with cinematic flair ignite your curiosity, subscribe so you won't miss future episodes. Dive into more fascinating stories. See you next time.